In this presentation I will be focusing on performing backup operations using the Gandalf Solutions File Maintenance utility. I will perform an interactive backup of files, excluding temporary files. I will create a script which I will then schedule to run on a weekly basis to perform that backup as at the end of the week. I will then create another script that will perform a daily snapshot of changed files since the previous week. That will give me the facility to be able to roll back to any day during the week. Finally, I will create a timestamp snapshot of changed files. This will enable me to be able to roll back to any time of my choosing. This is the Gandalf File Management utility, the default page. I have just opened it up. As a starting point, I will load up the setting that I saved in a previous video which demonstrated the use of pattern matching in order to exclude temporary files and temporary folders. This setting is looking at the current folder, all the documents in the current folder including subfolders, and if I fetch the files I get a list of all the files and the folders within which those files are located. I wish to make a backup of these files, and I will place that backup into a backup folder sibling to the current folder. Now when I perform the backup in a subsequent execution, I only want to backup files that were changed or are new since the previous backup. So I'll select the first option here, where the source is more recent or there is no comparison file. At this point I have not made a backup before, so there are no comparison files at all. I will be using this setting again for my scheduled task, which I'll run at the end of each week. So I will save this and I'll call this my weekly backup. And I'll just document this. This will be doing a weekly backup of all files in the current folder excluding the temporary files. Good. Save that, and I'm ready to perform my backup operation. So I'll do the backup, done the results, have a look at the detailed log file, and I can confirm that I have copied from the current folder to the backup folder, and there were 30 files copied, none skipped, none failed. Great. First objective has been met. Second objective then is to generate a script that I can then schedule for this to run on a weekly basis. Click the Create a Job. I will save my script in the Command Files folder. For a moment then I had a blank moment. In the Command Files folder, and I will call this my weekly backup. And let me save my log in a logs folder, which I'll call my GS files job log. That's okay. So that's my basic general information about the script that I'm going to generate. Now I need to add at least one task or several tasks. The first task that I'll add, in fact it's the only task I'll add, is my weekly backup settings. And what I wish to do here is I want to copy the files, and I am done. Create the job. The log folder doesn't exist. I think I've chosen an incorrect. Shall I create the log folder for you? No, please don't do that. I've chosen the wrong location. Let me just correct that. I in fact want that to be placed in that folder over there. Alright, now generate the job. I have successfully created the job. As a precaution, however, the commands have been remarked out. This is purely a conservative approach to ensure that you check that the script is doing what you intend it to do. Okay, do I wish to edit the command file now? Yes, let's edit it straight away. Gives me a reminder that the program will not continue until I've saved and closed Notepad. There's the script that it's generated, and in particular of interest to me is that remark in front of the command. I need to remove that to confirm that the script is as I want it to be, executing the setting for the exclude temp weekly backup, and the action I wish to perform is a copy. I'm happy with that. I will save the script and it is done. I'm now ready to schedule that script. I've opened up the task scheduler and I've created a folder for my Gandalf tasks, and I'll create a basic task which will be called my weekly backup of current files. Run it on a weekly basis every Friday. The action is to start a program, and it is in fact that command script that I wish it to run, which I've just generated. That's the backup file, the bat file, weekly backup bat. And don't have to worry about any additional parameters, arguments, and I am done. So that will perform a weekly backup. Of course, I could also just execute it if I so wish. It is a bat file. Back again to the Gandalf Solutions utility. I have created a script that will perform weekly backups. If I fetch the files again, I find that there aren't any files needing to be backed up because I'm only backing up those that are more recent or that are new. I can confirm that that works by editing some of the documents. I'll open up file 07, make some changes to it. Create a new file. flip back again to the utility, fetch files, and now it's picked up that I have an existing file that exists in the backup folder, which was dated the 9th of August, and it has been updated. So that's a changed file. It's a more recent, the source is more recent, and the second 109 is a new file. There's no comparison file in the backup folder. Now, I want to create a snapshot position on a daily basis. What I'm going to do is copy my backup location to my compare with files. So effectively I will be comparing files within current with files within backup. When I did not have anything here, the comparison folder and the copy to folder were one and the same. Now I needed to do this because I'm going to change my target to be backup snapshot. Okay, which means that I will be copying from my current to my snapshot folder all those files that are more recent or there is no comparison in my backup, which happens to be my weekly backup. This snapshot folder, I want the suffix to be changed by adding a date stamp to that suffix. Let me demonstrate that. I have a source folder, I have a target folder, I have a comparison folder. That's my folder I'm copying from. That's the folder I'm copying to, a snapshot folder with a date suffix added based on a date stamp. And I am comparing my source file with a backup file. So any files that exist in current that are more recent than the equivalent file in backup, or that do not have a backup, they will be copied into my snapshot. Now I want to use this setting in order to schedule this to happen at day end of every day. So I will save this. This won't be my weekly backup, this will be my daily snapshot. Of all files in the current version. That's good enough. Save that, and now I wish to create a job for it, which I already had opened up over here in my command files folder, but this script will be my daily snapshot, and I don't want this task to be performed, so I'll select it and use my keyboard to delete it and select a different task to add. It's my daily snapshot task that I wish to add, and I wish to perform a copy. Again, as before, when I create the job, it gives me confirmation and displays where the job was, the script had been saved, daily snapshot.bat in the command files folder. It gives me the option to edit that script at this point in time. As I mentioned before, it does provide me with a warning that the program will not continue until I close the notepad. Here is my script. By default, the script that Gandalf generates comments out the actual command. I need to remove that comment after I have confirmed that the action is as intended. This is performing a copy using the configuration as per my daily snapshot settings file. I'm happy with that. I will save it and close that. I'm ready then to create another schedule there. Task scheduler. Let's add another basic task. This is my daily snapshot of the current folder changes since last week's backup. On a daily basis, every day, start a program, and the program I wish to start is my daily snapshot bat file, and I have got the wrong time. I don't want it to be at midday, I'd want it to be at 5 p.m. That's better. Right, so daily snapshot, weekly snapshot happening on a daily basis, but of course it is a bat file, so I can execute it at any point in time if I wish. And that's done. I can have a look at the log file and get the confirmation. They're the two files that were copied. Final objective was to do a timestamped backup. Instead of having the folder stamped with a date stamp, I'll change that to a date and time stamp. And I will save the setting as a snapshot. Save that and fetch files and perform it interactively this time. There you are. Have a look at the results. This has taken the files that were changed since my last backup and has made a copy of them in a snapshot folder with the date and time suffix. And that then concludes my demonstration, in which I performed a backup, generated a weekly schedule, daily snapshot, and an interactive timestamp snapshot.